Supply and demand are the fundamental basis upon which economics and finance are built. Understanding these simple concepts will open you up to understanding all subsequent economic topics and will help you to better consider the implications of government action, regulation, taxation, consumer habits, and even the stock market. If you are new to economics or need a refresher about the supply-demand relationship, then this video is for you. So let's dive in. Supply and demand have been understood by human beings throughout history. If you had a lot of something and another person wanted what you had, there was an agreement which could be reached between the two of you where both parties could benefit. This relationship, though well understood for millennia, was not well explained until the Scottish philosopher and father of economics, Adam Smith, wrote it down in the first ever economic textbook, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, or just Wealth of Nations for short. In this book, Smith noted that water and diamonds fetch very different prices. This so-called water-diamond paradox seems almost ridiculous. Of course a diamond costs more than water. But why? Water is essential for human life. We can't get more than a few days without it. Diamonds, on the other hand, have almost no practical value, and in Smith's day, many people went their whole lives without ever seeing a diamond in person. And therein lay the difference between the two prices. Even though water has much more demand than a diamond, being demanded by everyone, everywhere, almost every day, water is common and makes up almost 70% of the Earth's surface. It is not hard to come by water in most places. Diamonds, on the other hand, require a lot of labor to extract, are hard to find, and generally quite small. Because the supply of diamonds is so much less than water, and the cost associated with their extraction is so much greater, the price consumers are willing to pay for a diamond is higher. This relationship, though abstract, is represented in nearly every transaction we encounter. When we talk about supply and demand in economics, we normally draw a very simple graph. We show an x-axis, which indicates the quantity of a given product. Then we show the y-axis, which represents the price of a given product. We then draw a demand curve. The demand curve can be thought of as a function which slopes down and to the right. This means that there are consumers who demand a given quantity of this product at any given price. For example, consumers demanding a product on the far left side of the demand curve are willing to pay a very high price for a small total quantity of something. In the case of a product like oil, this can be thought of as organizations like airlines, who require oil in the form of jet fuel, regardless of the price, in order to operate their business. They may not buy as much oil-based jet fuel when prices are higher, but they will be buying it because their existence requires it. This can also represent wealthy people, who purchase a product regardless of price, because they have a very low utility for money. Like when you buy designer brands and products simply because of the name, not because they do anything a normal sports shoe couldn't. As you move towards the left side of the demand curve, you can see that the total quantity increases, because as the price decreases, more consumers are willing to purchase that product at a lower price. In the case of oil, this can be thought of as a product like petroleum jelly, where there exist many substitutes for a given product. Consumers don't have to use petroleum jelly, but if the price is low enough, it could incentivize them to use it over alternatives. Now we need to add the supply curve. The supply curve normally shifts up and to the right, intersecting the demand curve at some point. There are special exceptions to the supply curve sloping down, but that's a very, very unique case, and we will discuss this scenario in a later video. For now, consider that nearly all supply curves look like this one. Think of the price for the supply curve as what suppliers, the sellers in the economy, want to get for their product. If they sell for a lower price, then the seller will not likely produce as much of that product. But as prices increase, the sellers are willing to produce much more of a given product. The point at which these two lines intersect is called the equilibrium price. This is the level at which the price and quantity of a given product will settle in an economy. At this point, the sellers are happy to supply the maximum amount of quantity at a given price, and consumers are happy purchasing a given quantity at a given price. If the price were higher or lower, you are left with unhappy sellers or unhappy buyers, and this is shown in the form of shortages or surpluses, where consumers don't get enough of what they want or suppliers have too much of something left over. In properly functioning economies, this shouldn't happen. However, in poorly functioning economies, unhappy sellers and consumers are the norm. Now we can move the supply and demand curves. Let's start with the demand curve first. Demand can change for a variety of reasons. Perhaps consumer taste changes, and what was once popular is now unpopular, like CD discs. We can see the demand curve shift down. This means consumers are willing to pay less for a product, and therefore the equilibrium price moves with the shift in demand. A lower price and lower total quantity demanded. Likewise, demand could increase as the population grows. The product reach is expanded to new countries, or people generally want more of a product, like smartphones. We can see the demand curve shift up, resulting in more total quantity demanded, as well as a higher price. But what about supply? Supply can also shift up and down, but for different reasons than demand. If the supply curve shifts up, it could be a result of a few things. Perhaps the cost of producing an item has increased, and now the supplier requires a higher price per unit produced. This shifts the curve up and therefore increases the equilibrium price while lowering the total quantity supplied. The curve could also move down. If the component of the product has become cheaper, or if more of the product has been found, like a new oil reserve that was previously undiscovered, this would shift the curve down, which lowers price and increases the total quantity supplied. There are many other things to consider in supply and demand dynamics, like taxes, subsidies, and elasticities, which will all be discussed in a separate video. What we hope you've learned today is the fundamental underpinnings of economic theory, which will help propel you forward in interpreting real-world economic concepts for yourself. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have questions or thoughts about supply and demand, leave a comment below. Also, if you want to learn more about economics and finance, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see more content like this. Now, please enjoy another insightful video by clicking on one of the recommended links on the screen. Have a great day.